Let's go next to Spencer from California. Spencer, go.
Hey, David, thanks for taking my call. So I think one thing that we encourage is, or at least you encourage on your show, is teaching media literacy and viewing it as something that has a positive impact in terms of educating people.
Yes.
I was reading an article which says that part of the way we teach media literacy is telling readers to critically think about how information is constructed, who's paying for it, and what's being left out. And
Yes.
as a result, this leads to some level of mistrust and maybe even hostility towards news sources, the way that we learn it. And maybe this even drives some radicalization. So, what's the right way to develop media literacy skills while trying to prevent this effect of causing people to have this predisposition that media is not to be trusted?
You know, I thought that the caller before you was one of the best calls we've had. This may be in contention for one of the best calls. This is a perfectly constructed question. So your question is a brilliant one, which is if one has not been exposed to the basic skepticism that we should bring to any messages we receive. And this means a sign on the outside of a building, a TV commercial, a news report. If your first exposure to this type of critical thinking is in media literacy, you might incorrectly develop a hostility towards media because you've never thought about this framework before. And all of a sudden you're being told we've got to apply it specifically to media. You're 100% right. And so what we need to do is that framework of how to think about things, how to know why we believe the things we believe, it has to be introduced earlier before the context is even media literacy. And here's what I mean. If 2 years before media literacy becomes a topic, you are generally instructed on how to evaluate whether something should be believed or not. And it's applied to everything. It's applied to the things your classmates say. It's applied to all sorts of phenomena. Why do you believe? How do you know what your age is? How old are we kids? We're 7. How do you know that? Do you remember each of the 7 years? Well, no, it's because our parents told us. Okay. And how do you right? So if you first develop that as a general framework for evaluating why we believe the things we believe, once it's applied to media, it shouldn't generate that sort of distrust. And you're 100% correct.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. And then one more question, if
Sure.
possible.
It's going to be, I mean, you may want to go out on top, but let's see this. I don't know if the next question could possibly live up to the first one.
Sure. So maybe on a sort of related issue,
Sure.
how do you respond to friends and people who are simply misinformed, but they're not too far removed from reality in their beliefs? So, for instance, maybe someone who thinks that Biden is largely responsible for gas prices,
Hmm.
they might have just heard that somewhere and blindly repeated it
Yeah.
without thinking or checking for themselves. But in essence, what I'm asking is what's the best way to confront these people and tell them that they're wrong without seeming too argumentative or just flat out telling them that they're incorrect?
Oh, I mean, that one's very easy, particularly if it's people you generally get along with. You would say, oh, now that's interesting. Biden's responsible for the high gas prices. Tell me more about that. What did Biden do to raise gas prices? And almost certainly they're already going to go nowhere. And then I would say, oh, well, because, gas prices are up in every country. Does Biden affect gas prices in every country? And if so, how? I mean, I would just diffuse that with some very light questions.
Mhm. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking that was the approach to go also.
All right. Excellent phone call. I congratulate you.
Right, thanks for taking my call, David.
All right. Very good. Guys, I'm almost scared to take the next call because it's going to be very hard to live up to some of these. We've talked often about the Mediterranean diet. The Mediterranean diet, one element is olive oil, and many olive oils are adulterated with fillers. Other types of oils are made with oils that are old or low quality.
Brightland is where you get the good stuff. Brightland is a California-based company offering authentic, fresh olive oils and vinegars made from local harvests, never overprocessed, no fillers or artificial preservatives, because Brightland only works with small California-based family-run farms that don't use harmful chemicals. They pay all workers a living wage. Every bottle has a label with the harvest date. Olives are harvested early in the season, pressed within 90 minutes of harvest for the highest quality oil possible. Brightland sells an olive oil set called the Duo, which I've been using at home. It's unbeatable. One is called Awake. It's a robust oil for breads and soups. The other is called Alive. It's smoother, great for veggies and salads. Brightland ships to you in recyclable bottles that protect against UV light and in sustainable packaging. When you go to brightland.co/Pacman, you'll get 10% off the Duo. The link is down below.